Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Guess what I forgot to do today? I forgot to turn on my lights. It's all right. We're going to go with natural lighting today. You're going to have to deal with my shadowy face. Welcome to the show. Gregor Martynus, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thank you so much for having me. It is really an honor to be on your show.
I'm super happy to have you here. I feel like you and I have kind of run in a few of the same circles for a while now. I've done a lot of little projects using, the GitHub API, and every time that I use the GitHub API, it always leads me around to Octokit. And Octokit is something that we'll talk about in a minute. But before we bring that up, I want to hear a little bit about you. So for people who aren't familiar with your background, could you give us a little bit of a history?
Sure. So I am the maintainer of the JavaScript Octokit, which is the official JavaScript and now Dino tooling for GitHub platform APIs. I've been doing this for a few years now. And yeah, I live in California. We had a set of kids, and that's a priority of my life right now. So besides that and Octokit, there is not much time left.
And so that so Octokit is definitely it's a fixture. It's a piece of open source technology that I've seen. Anytime GitHub comes up, you're going to see Octokit. If you're building something, and GitHub, and that actually is really interesting to me because GitHub has really good REST APIs and really good GraphQL APIs. So you can do a lot without an SDK. And so I think that speaks to how useful Octokit actually is, that you would reach for it, even though there are these really robust APIs available. So could you talk a little bit about just kind of the history of Octokit? Because I think this is not an official GitHub project, right? Or at least it didn't start as one?
No, so I mean, Octokit is basically a set of SDKs across all languages, and it started with Octokid.rb, which is the Ruby version, which GitHub itself is a Ruby on Rails app. So they use Ruby, so they create it and maintain it. And JavaScript became more and more popular, so they decided to basically take over the most popular project out there, which was Node GitHub. At the time, there was like 2017, I think, and Brandon Keepers, who worked at GitHub back then, brought me on board because we knew each other from open source world and JavaScript world to help maintain it. And Node GitHub, we must say, is as old as NPM, which might be the reason why it had so many stars and seems so popular. So it came with a lot of legacy. So I spent a lot of time to carefully migrate this legacy project to a more modern one, which took a bunch of time. But now we basically cover all of GitHub's platform's APIs, and it's a very modular, decomposable SDK that you can use with like the all batteries included Octokit package, or you can kind of go down and use the low-level SDKs that you only need, especially if you are in a constrained environment like IoT or browsers where bundle size matters. Then you kind of want to select only the parts that are relevant to you. And yeah, we see it as an official extensions of the REST API and GraphQL API and the authentication strategies, so that it feels more natural to JavaScript developers or Ruby developers, .NET developers, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I think that it really does. Like you see that when you, because I feel like I built a few little apps where I was trying to use the APIs, and because GitHub does so much, I found myself chaining a lot of things together, and then I'm having to keep track of tokens and all of these different things that was like, whew, all right, there's a lot going on here. But I reached for Octokit, and that just kind of all happens under the hood. I was able to chain commands. Did I freeze? Why am I frozen? What are you doing?
I muted myself and you froze. So try again and to unfreeze you.
What is why is my camera frozen? Hold on, give me just a second to bounce out here, and then maybe we'll come back and the camera will just magically fix itself. Nope, it's not fixing itself. Give me just a second, everybody.
Okay. I can talk a little bit more about SDK and why it's useful.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Let's see if we can figure out why my camera just mutinied.
REST APIs are stateless, so they are great, in and of itself. But what SDKs can do, because they're running on a client, they can keep state between these requests. And you can do things like throttle requests, for example. You can do things like request retries. You can obviously, keep state in terms of authentication. You can, and some strategies require you to renew tokens once per hour and so on. And then SDK can do that transparently for you without obfuscating the APIs that it exposes to you. So these are the things why SDKs are great when they're doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have no idea what just happened. So great. Hello, I'm back. Hi. That was odd. So, we could talk about this forever, but honestly, there's so much that we wanted to cover today, and I'm so excited to jump in. And also, when you're working with an SDK, it's, seeing is believing, I think. So why don't we just hop right over and immediately start working on this? So let's jump in, and a little bit of housekeeping here. So first and foremost, today is episode 200 of Learn with Jason. So thank you all so much for hanging out, learning with me. Thank you, Gregor, for being. Oh, there's a boop sticker. Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh, geez. I'm so happy. Okay, so if you want your very own boop stickers, remember you can go over to the store at any point in time, get yourself a pack of stickers, and just boop the heck out of everything. Thank you for dropping the boops, Chris. But yeah, I can't believe it. It's been a wild ride. Thanks to y'all for coming along and learning with me. And as usual, remember, we've got the whole show being live captioned. We've got Diane with us today. She's helping us out. Thank you so much. And that's from Whiteco Captioning. The captioning is made possible through the support of our sponsors. We've got Netlify, Fauna, Auth0, and Hasura all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people, which I very much appreciate. So thank you all for that. Make sure you go and check that out. If you want to watch the live captioning, you can see that right on the homepage of learnwithjason.dev. Then, okay, great. What else is going on? We've got, oh yeah, Twitter. Make sure you go follow Gregor on Twitter. It is GR2M. Go get that follow, make that happen, smash that follow button and ring that bell. And we're going to be talking about Octokit today, right? So this is the Octokit JS specifically. Okay, so that is a lot of things, and in the most amazing act of over-preparedness, Gregor has created an issue on GitHub with our agenda for today, which this is thrilling to me. This is the best planned episode of Learn with Jason that we ever could have had, and look at all of this stuff that we're going to try to get done. So we're going to see how far we can get. We'll start here, and then we might have to call it at a certain point, but let's see if we can go fast. I think a speed run through Octokit sounds like a whole lot of fun.
Congratulations again to episode 200, and
Thank you.
I'm very humbled by all the other amazing guests you had. So I'm trying to compensate to live up to this high bar of your show, to come prepared as good as I
You made a
can.
hat. You're the most prepared guest of all time.
Well, not every episode is episode 200. Also, I might need to take it off. This is for my kids, and it's kind of a little tight, but I try.
I mean, yeah, I appreciate you don't have to commit to the gag though. But okay, so we are looking at doing an Octokit speedrun here. So the first thing that we want to do is probably get Octokit set up, right? And it's been a while, so I think I'm probably out of date here. So what's the first thing that I should do if I want to get Octokit running?
So I would say we hop into your terminal and create a new directory for today's show, and we will boop your nose. So maybe create a directory called boop Jason's nose or something like this.
Like that?
Perfect.
Okay. So we're in here, and then let me get init this, or actually before I do that, is that the right thing to do in this case?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, git init and then npm init-y.
Init-y. Okay.
And
So
then
anything else?
npm install Octokit.
And is it just like this, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is it's pretty new. I didn't really officially announce it, but this is like now the all batteries included Octokit package.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. And now I would create, let's create a .cli, CLI.js file.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can open it.
Oh, okay. Just
and
open
then
this right up here.
one thing we can do is we will kind of bump a counter on your JLinkstore repository, and I started a pull request to add this number to your JLinkstore repository.
Okay, so let's check this out.
So you can edit it if you don't like it. But
I love it. All right, let's get it in here. So we're going to submit the review, and we'll do a squash merge. And in
you
it
make
goes.
the semantic.
I love semantic commits. I need to do a whole episode on why I think those are cool, with like semantic release and automated change logs and stuff.
Nice.
But
I do maintain semantic release, so whenever you want to do that, let me know.
Okay, so we've got this new line added. We've got a link to the show so that people can figure out what the heck's going on after we after we turn it off. So once we're there, then we've got this empty CLI file. What should I do next?
So our goal here is now to kind of automate the process to bump this thing without you needing to go in and edit it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So start out by importing the Octokid package. So you can use require, and then
thank you for the bits.
Okay, and then it's not then like you don't import the Octokid. You have to, what is it called? Like do the object.
Like destructure it?
Yeah, destructure it. Oh man,
okay.
I need more coffee. Okay, and it's a capital O.
Got it. Capital Octokit.
Capital Octokid, okay. And now we can create an instance. So it's a new Octokid.
Okay, so in like, is there a convention for this? Because like I end up doing like GitHub is new Octokit. Is there a better way to do it?
In all my docs, I just use lowercase Octokid for an Octokid instance.
Okay, let's follow the docs so that it doesn't look like my preferences here. And so I've created a new Octokit. Do I need to configure it?
Yeah, you need to, for our use case, you need to pass authentication. And the most simple authentication strategy is to just pass a token. So you pass in an object with an auth property and set that auth property to a valid Oauth token or personal access token. And we talked about this before the show, so we don't need to expose, we don't need to show your token. You already configured it to make it available globally.
Yes. So what I did was I just put this into my environment, like in my CLI, like my bash RC, or I guess my Z shell RC now that I use Z shell. So this will just be available whenever we run the CLI.
So now we will write some asynchronous code. So I usually just define like an asynchronous function called run and then just execute it right away. Exactly. So now what we can do just to test your authentication is to request your own user. So you can say const response.
Oh, response.
Equals await Octokit request.
Ooh, look at the autocomplete.
I'll wait for this. Now start a string and press, I think, look at this autocomplete. So, Octokit has 600 plus REST API endpoints, and you
Oh
get, there it
my
is.
goodness. Okay, so look at
we
that.
spend a lot of time on this magic because, gosh, it is really nice when you use it, but it is a pain in the butt to maintain all this magic. But I'm glad it works. This is the
Okay.
moments I'm doing this for. I've been sweating blood to make this all possible. All right. So this will request your current user account using your authentication.
So before we do that, Brittany just asked where you get a token, and so I'm gonna go show where you get one. So we go to settings, and then we go to account security. Is that right?
Yeah, you got notes.
Or no, that's not it. It's developers. Developer settings.
Just tokens. I just remember the URL is /settings/tokens. Okay, there it is. And then you can go
settings, developer settings, personal access tokens. And then you can see that I created a token here. So if you want to generate a new one, we just need to check public repo for this.
Yeah.
And then you add a note to describe it. So some description there. And then that'll give you a token. Once you create a token, you'll never be able to see it again, which is why I was able to open up this. We can't actually see this token. Like even if I click on it, I can change its scope, but I can't change the token. But if I wanted to, I could like regenerate it to get a new one. So, but that's how you get that. So then what I did was I have a .env file on my whole computer, and I can put things into that get loaded that are available in the environment. Which, if you're curious about how that works, there are some good googly articles, which is how I learned to do it. And if you are still not there, feel free to DM me and I'll walk you through it. Okay, so I've requested the user. Do I have? Am I done? Can I just console log that?
Yeah, let's console log and let's console log like authenticated as, and then.
Okay. And then it would be like response
data, and then you should get the type ahead magic again, like login.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. All right. So then
let's run it.
We just run it. I just node CLI.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops.
All right. What do we got here?
Requires authentication. So that means
try to
source my Z shell again.
Yeah, exactly. That's most often it. Let's hope it is the problem here.
It's not.
Requires authentication.
That's let's see. GitHub token. All right, let's do it this way. Let's do I'm going to pull this off screen real quick and just check that it actually does what I think it does.
Yep. Process.
It does.
Looks correct.
Oh, you know what I might need to do? Let's do this. Let's do GitHub token equals GitHub token, which I realize is ridiculous, but
no, you don't need to do it usually, but well, let's try.
Okay, so I think so I'm using NVM, and through the course of 200 episodes, the internals of this machine are a wreck. Like at this point, I think I have like 19 different versions of Node running, and all of them are talking to a slightly different flavor of environment. So this is me kind of doing things the bad way. But what I could also do if I wanted is I could do like a .env file in here. And we could do it that way. I'm not going to do that. So let's just be okay with that. And then I wonder if now that I've done this, no. Okay, so I'm going to have to include that GitHub token.
Okay.
So why don't I do it this way? I'm going to put this in as a run command. And that way we won't have to do it every time. We can just do a npm
run.
Oh no. npm run. Whoa, why are you like this?
Okay. I
so
guess
Node just doesn't know the. Okay, that's fine. We'll just do this. My computer will fight us kicking and screaming, and we will beat it into submission.
It should just work. It's not a problem with Octokid. It must be like something odd.
This is 100% a problem with my machine. Yeah, this one's not Octokit by any means.
They tell us we should rename the script to DMC. test npm run. I thought like npm we should rename it to forest, but I guess there are a lot of okay.
Because it's tricky.
All right, let's get back to it. Hey, you wanted to invite me to your.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, let's do a live share.
Because I want to like give you some snippets that are not relevant really to Octokit, so we don't hang out of it, like regex.
Yeah, that works. Let's get this shared over. There is a live share link for you.
Okay, I got it.
And if you haven't used Chad, if you're seeing this for the first time, VS Code Live Share is the coolest. It just lets people like join in a session and they can do stuff on your computer. It's very, very good for remote pairing. So we're gonna let, he's here. All right, so now I click this thumbtack, so I'm gonna follow you around. Okay, so
cool.
Look, hands free. Let's just do some stuff. Look at it go.
Oh my god, code just magically appeared. So
that's what I always wanted. Okay, so we've got a bump boop counter, and this is going to do a content replace. So we're doing a regular expression to pull out the number, and this is our name group because it's in a parentheses. And then we run this function to handle it, and we take our counter, which is the named group, or the captured group, I should say, and add 1. So it's just an auto increment function that's based on regular expressions because we're working in a README because, we make great decisions. But so basically, if we run this, then what we should see is, assuming we pass in the README text, we'll see the README text bump to like +1.
Yep. Okay. So now we have to update repository content, right? So you can just leave the authenticated as in, like it won't hurt us. And next, let's do an update request. Oh, this is so cool. I can watch you live here now. Man. So just do like await Octokit request.
Am I getting another response here?
Yeah, you get another response.
So let's change this one to user.
Let me just destructor above maybe to data, and then rename the data to user. That's what I would usually do in line 8.
We can do that.
The data colon user, and then it's kind of like it has a good name, right?
That's nice. That's nice. Look at that. What a handsome destructured variable. Okay.
At this point, maybe we can show GitHub's REST API documentation and then just kind of go from there, because this would be the usual flow that people would do if they don't know the...
And this is to get...
docs.github.com, or that will be fine too.
All right, so we're in the REST API, and then we would be looking for our endpoints, and we would want to update...
Repository. It's called repositories, yes.
Okay.
And you see there's so many things in here in this article. So basically what we want is update file. There is a section called contents when you scroll down.
Oh, wow. There's really a lot in here. Okay. Commits contents. Creator update file contents.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And then every endpoint has all these options. So there's really a lot. The cool thing is when you scroll down a little bit in these examples, they now include Octokit code examples as well. So you can basically just copy and paste this.
Ooh, look at that. That's slick. Okay, so I can take this out and let's look at what it does. Whoops. Here. So we're going to Octokit request. We're doing a put into this repo's owner repo contents path endpoint. And so the owner would be me. Exactly. The repo is my repo. That's because we're doing the profile README. Path is just root, right?
No, it's a readme.md.
Oh.
The root is a folder, right? So you have to update a file, this is the full file of it. And then boop JSON's knows, I guess.
And then the content is going to be
Yeah, for now, let's just do boop boop or something like that. I mean,
Is that going to blow up my...
it will not, it will blow up. It will not permit you to do it. I just want to explain what's going on.
Okay.
Right. So also like when you see the request, what's happening there is that 3 of the parameters on a repo and path are URL parameters. So that's automatically parsed for you. And you can just pass all parameters, no matter whether they're URL parameters or query parameters or body request parameters, the same way as they are documented. So this is what Octokit request is kind of abstracting for you. So you don't need to care about the difference, how these parameters are transported to GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you run this now,
I guess, what do I want to like console dir response?
Response data. This response might be too big, so we can just response data. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we get back. So I'm gonna run this again, and it says I'm authenticated as me. Invalid request. A SHA wasn't supplied.
So it gives you like a 422 or like a 409. Basically, there's a conflict because it's all Git, and we cannot just update a file. We need to tell GitHub like what's the current version you want to update, right?
Got it.
So before we can update a file, we need to get it. So we need to add another request first, which has the same path, but just a different method. Instead of put, it's get.
Okay. So we'll get like data as
readme. That's okay. Yeah.
And that'll be await Octokit
request.
And then I'm going to do the repo.
It's get
content. Actually, what if I just do content? Is that going to show up the way I want?
You have to pass the route first. So it's get in capital
repo
letters.
Contents path?
Yes.
Repos owner. Yes. Okay. So then I need to pass in some arguments. So the owner.
Yeah, the first 3.
Oh, go away. Not the button I wanted.
You can just copy the first 3 and use them there.
And I don't need these others, right? Because we're not changing anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now README has a property called SHA. It should give you a type ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
and
then I'm going to take this part out for a minute so that we can just look at this SHA. So if I run this again, we should see, yeah. And then if I go look at my README on GitHub, I should theoretically, where was I?
It is not the same as the commit SHA. It's a tree SHA, I think. So it will not be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little different, and we don't want to go too deep into Git because I don't understand Git just like everyone else.
That's a deep hole. Okay, so we've got our README. We should have the README loaded at this point, and we've got a SHA. But we also have like the content. So if I do
that's a good one. Yeah.
Is it content? Yeah, content. So
because that's another surprise.
Oh, interesting. It's base 64 encoded.
It's base 64 encoded always. So you have to keep in mind, and I wanted it to be a surprise, but you're too smart for me. So you need to base 64 decode it. So you can do like buffer from as a function. You probably did this a million times. And then as a second parameter, you pass the
you hackers, you dirty hackers. Oh wait, I did that all wrong, didn't I? ToString.
And then ToString, yeah, that should be enough. I think UTF-8 is the default.
Hey, look at it go. So now we've got our, this is our README content. So we're pulling everything in, and we can see here, this is the content that we want. So then if I change this out to be content.
Yeah.
And I run our boop. Am I getting ahead of you?
No, please go ahead. This is great.
So let's do bump boop counter content. Then we should see that this will go to 1.
Hopefully.
Hey, look at it go. All right. So now we have a boop counter, and then we want to get back here, and this is the part where I have no idea what's going on. But I do think I want this to be updated.
Unfortunately, not quite, because you again have to base 64 encode it. Like, this is how GitHub talks to you. So no, this is not. This is UTF-8 now. So you say buffer from, and I think it's a default. You don't need to
base 64. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you need to pass the SHA argument, which was the error we received earlier.
And that's just like this.
No, readme.sha.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. This is the first big moment.
Okay, let's see if we can do it. Let's get ready, chat. Let's do a boop. Oh, doesn't like it. It didn't like it because I typoed. Like a doofus. Okay. Let's try that one more time. No typos.
If this was a live show or something.
All right, so I think things happened here. Let's go check.
So Hilauder asked if we could use B2A. And the answer is sometimes. It's another DAPOL, like browsers and also Node 16 now have B2A. But
I also
it is
saw
actually
a whole thread on why you shouldn't use B2A in Node because it like, doesn't it like do double encoding on certain characters or something?
So B2A is not UTF-8. B2A is Unicode, and it's a rabbit hole as deep as Git. So we do not want to go there. But yeah, I've actually run into this problem before today and now we will see if we can actually run into this problem together.
I'm just excited that this worked. How great is that?
It worked! Yay! Sorry, I missed it. I had to put off the hat. It kind of actually helped me a little bit.
Well, I appreciate you suffering for the show. Also, thank you for the sub, Luke. I appreciate that. I see Jason Echoes there with the docs for B2A as well. Yeah, B2A is just base 64 encoding and decoding built into the browser. It's handled the same way in Node, but it's again not UTF-8, which is very confusing when you're trying to do anything that's not a like standard Latin character. So.
All right. I would like to show you plugins now for Octokid.
I would like to see plugins now.
So because Octokid itself kind of only does the bare minimum, it basically wraps all relevant APIs. Everything beyond we put into plugins.
Okay.
And if you have, like a use case like now, you basically want to update a file, it is likely that you're not the first and last person who has this use case. So we created a plugin for it. And I can send you, I don't know how to send it to you. I'll put it in the chat. So, or actually, I can paste a link into the code directly. Right?
You sure can, yeah. So I will. Let's get this thing out of the chat here. All right. So I have create or update text file.
Yeah, and the tests are failing because we have a Github Actions outage right now, of course, of all days and times. Anyway, so this is a plugin, and in usage, you will see node usage, which is what we want, and you can just install the package. Not Octokit core, we don't need that, but you can install
just
the
Octokit.
Part. Yeah.
Okay.
You have the Octokit package, which is built on Octokit core, and it provides the same plugin APIs.
Okay, so I'm installing create or update text file, and now is this going to just kind of make what we did easier, or okay?
Yeah, it's basically like a function that contains the getting and updating logic for you, and the whole buffer management and stuff, and also the abstraction of how to use the encoding, decoding in Node and Dino and browsers, because it's different on all platforms.
Okay.
So there is a lot more pain with this API, which we don't need to get into. But basically, what you now have to do is to register the plugin after you import it.
Okay, so I'm going to nope, not right in Node
So all
today.
the Octokit packages, destructure.
Wait, it was here somewhere.
In the usage there, in the table above.
Oh, right here. Yep. Okay, so we've got...
So basically the second line. Yeah, these are the two methods that it's exposing. We only will need one.
Which one we're going to use create?
The first one, yeah. The second one is basically stateless, so you can use it within other plugins.
Okay.
So the plugins are composable, but this is what we want right now.
Oh,
and now you have to define your own constructor. So basically say const my Octokit with capital letters, because you create a new constructor now. And then equals Octokit, capital O, that plugin. And then you pass in the plugin directly as a parameter. And you can also add a .defaults, which is kind of best practice. You can pass in default options, and you want to set your user agent. So there should be a type ahead. It's an object, and then I think user agent, and you just set it to Jason's nose booper or something like that. So this is now sent as the user agent in all requests, so GitHub knows who you are, and they kind of ask you to do it. It defaults to Octokit, but ideally if you build something, you should set it to your own, okay?
Okay, and now I just switched this here.
Exactly.
And so effectively what I've done is we've taken Octokit and we've extended it with this plugin, updated some defaults, and now we're just instantiating Octokit with these updated settings. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. And so now when we do this stuff, we are like, I don't have to change any of the other code.
No.
Okay, perfect.
It's all good. But basically we can remove all the code or like comment it out or whatever you want.
Yeah, let's do this here.
And you should be able
All right, so let's go from here. So I'm gonna do what, like response equals await Octokit, I assume.
And then that creates, it should get a type ahead for the new plugin. Exactly. And then I think it's more or less the same parameters that you have in lines 33 to 48.
Here.
Yes.
Well, sort of. We're going to be missing some pieces, right? Because we didn't get the
it's a little different. Well, the SHA you can remove because this is something that this plugin does for us. The nice thing about plugins, it can send multiple requests for you and you don't even know.
Okay.
Right? So, and content is now a function, or you can set it to a function. And the function is called with an object, which has a content property. I think it gives you a type ahead too. I think it's content.
Oh, does it? Yep,
sure.
Content, and then it has an exists.
Okay, yeah. Exists basically tells you the file exists or not, so you can treat it differently. But we don't need that. And now we just return this. Yeah, and that should be.
Oh, and we just return it straight up.
Return it straight up, and you see there is no SHA, there is no buffer. That's it.
That's significantly easier. And then I guess I don't really need to even keep this response.
Or you can log it out because it has some different information. Just, you can see, I think it will tell you if it actually updated the file because it doesn't update the file if it doesn't have to. And so it does some magic for you.
Do I want to log the entire response or like the data?
Data.
Okay.
Yeah. The entire response includes headers and stuff, and we are not interested in that.
Okay. Thinking.
I hope GitHub's API is not down or something. What is happening?
It doesn't like, let's see. Is not a legal HTTP header value. Oh, I bet I used a non.
Oh.
Does this need to be like alphanumeric or something?
I don't know. I never use a quote, so
Let's see what
That
happens.
should be okay.
There we go. That's better.
Okay.
So we've got nose booper, and if I go back to my profile, we have now booped twice. Hey, it's doing what we want, and that is significantly cleaner than what we were doing before. So now it's one nice, well-contained function as opposed to load the data, change the data, send the data, with all of these other pieces that, you know, we just needed to know that, as opposed to this, which feels a little more predictable, I guess. Like we want to load that content and make a change to it.
Yep. Okay. I would say the next problem here is, I mean, we all want to boop your nose. It shouldn't just be you, right? But you're the only one who has access.
Absolutely.
And it is good that way. So what I would like to do next is to show you the Oauth device flow, which basically permits you to authenticate as the current user, and then Octokid will use this authentication. And it's a device flow because there is no HTTP redirect in it, which is perfect for CLI applications. Yeah, this is a new flaw that GitHub, I think, published in the past year.
Okay.
So we can use that.
So does that mean that I'm getting rid of my auth?
Basically, we will no longer need the token. Yes.
Okay.
Let me. Okay.
And so if I try to run it now, just to clarify, it's just going to say you can't do that. You're not authorized.
Yeah, it will give you a 401, or if the repository was private, it would give you a 404 because it would not even expose that this repository exists.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to do is install, or like maybe open this file that I just added in line 6.
Oops, that opened in the wrong window. Let's open it in this one. Here we go.
So there are all kinds of different authentication strategies, and this is one of them.
And we wanted the apps?
For OAuth apps.
For OAuth apps.
Yeah, just the usage for OAuth apps, I think, is what we want.
And device auth is the one that we want?
Exactly. So this is the method that we will import from the package, and these are the authentication options. So basically, instead of passing a SID string as your token, this is now what you will set off to when you use it together with Octokid. But yeah, let's install the package and then import it like that.
Okay, so let's get this installed. Okay, so that's installed. Now we've got it. I've got this here. So do I just do another .plugin, or I think there was a .plugins method as well? Is there a pattern for adding more?
No, it's a little bit different. So you, in line 14, you now set a new property. It's called Auth strategy. So basically now, before it was the token strategy, which is the most simple one, and now we get a more sophisticated one, which is called create auth device.
Like this?
Auth, exactly. And now you can uncomment the auth parameter and set it to the option that you saw in the README.
Oh, I didn't even look at that part.
The strategy. Because we have to set a few things. Yeah, basically.
Wait, I'm not. Okay, so is this create OAuth device?
I keep losing you here. So yeah, starting with client type and client ID, scopes, and on verification. These are the options that you will need.
Okay, and so I'm just going to
copy it all. Yeah, we will mostly use it just as is.
And I put that right in here.
No, you set it separately because we want to be able to set the strategy separate from the authentication options. Okay. So you set auth : and then set auth to an object with these same properties.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Sorry, yeah, it's a little complicated.
Got it. So we're here, and I don't have a client ID. Do I need to go create an app?
Yes, you need to go back to the same place where you created a token in GitHub settings, developers. There is an option for OAuth apps.
Okay,
and this is what you're going to do.
Settings. And we're going to go to developer settings. And we're going to go to OAuth apps.
Mm-hmm.
New.
Yep. And then, okay.
And the homepage URL will, for now, I think, just set to
Yep. Description doesn't matter.
And the callback URL.
You can set it to the same, or it's a great place to rickroll people, if you don't use. But okay. Yeah, basically you can now copy the client ID. It is not a sensitive credential, so it's no problem at all. You can just set it there, and that's it. So client type Oauth app, because there is a different type called GitHub app. The GitHub apps also have an Oauth feature, and they work a little bit differently. But Oauth app is the default. And then we need to set scopes so that the token that is created has the right permissions. And we need public repo similar as you created the token manually before.
Mm-hmm.
And then on verification is called, and it can be asynchronous if you prefer, with information where you can instruct the person, go to this website and enter this code. And once you enter this code, then I'll be able to get my token for you. So basically what it does is it pulls in the background and it waits for you to enter this code. And once you did and you granted access, it will be able to exchange its own one-time code for a token.
Got it. Okay, so if I do that, then I run this now and it's going to do it?
Let's hope so.
Okay. So I open GitHub login device and I'm going to copy this code.
Copy this, yep. And then open this.
Let's see, that opened in the wrong
And you can
window.
share it, like there is no credentials being shown that could be sensitive here.
Okay.
It's basically like a too far.
Mm-hmm. Now it wants me to authorize.
This is your Oauth app, right? So it tells you what it wants.
Okay.
And that's
and
okay.
Million organizations. And we're all set. Okay.
Yep.
So
and
that's
now go back to your terminal.
And it did the thing.
It failed. Oh yeah, it did a thing. I thought it looked like an error. I'm like, no. But yeah, you looked out a lot of stuff. So that's why.
This did the thing for me because I own my repo. But is it going to do the thing for like you, for example? Because if you log in, you wouldn't have access to write to this.
Exactly.
Repo.
So this is kind of a segue to the next section. What I would suggest we do is, if you can, you just boop your nose, because why should you not? But if I am me and I have not write access to your README, I create an issue basically asking, hey, may I boop your nose?
Okay. Yeah, okay. I was thinking of making this way more of a free-for-all. I was just going to put it in a serverless function and let people do whatever they want.
Oh, they will. Basically, I think what we can do is automatically, I just create an issue and your nose gets automatically booped. There's no approval process because your nose can take it. But the CLI will create the issue, and then the second automation we maybe work on, if we still have time, will be handle new issues and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's make this happen. All right, so I'm ready.
That, okay.
I'm ready. Right. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's go back to the code.
Okay.
And basically, just leave it as is. That's fine.
Okay.
And go down where we call the create or update text file function. So now let's wrap this into a try error, the whole thing. What we expect to happen is that this will fail with an 401 error. So you can check if error status is not 401, then just throw the error, because then it's something unexpected, kind of like an early exit thing. Throw error, yeah. And with that out of the way, we can now create an issue.
Okay.
So basically, await Octokid. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. That's exactly how I do it too. I don't know. That's nice to see that
I'm learning. So request, and now I'm just going to guess if I start typing issue, it's going to let me post an issue.
That's exactly it.
And this is the one I want?
Yeah.
Okay. This is very intuitive, and that is not true of most REST APIs. So that makes me really happy. So now I can do the JLang store. I probably could have put this in some kind of a config object that we could have shared around, but who cares? And then what happens next? We've got...
you can do a control space. It will give you a type ahead. So we want a title and maybe a body. The title is, I mean, I think it's self-explanatory. So may I boop or please boop or something, yeah. And then, you can set a body because it's nice. And you know, you can set it to some markdown like underscore or boop boop underscore or something. So Gulin asks, when would you use Oauth app instead of Github app? It's also another rabbit hole, but basically Oauth apps use scopes for permissions and Github apps don't have the concept of scopes. It's working all different, and I hope we will get to it in a moment, and then I can explain the differences.
Okay, do I need any other pieces here?
No, I would just kind of log out and say like issue created at, and then data.html. Oh, did I do something?
No, that was just me hitting buttons. So we'll do console log
and then issue created at
issue dot
HTML underscore, I think, URL. Yes. Okay. Exactly. I think also in line 53, let's replace this huge console log and do something like just console log knows boop successfully, because that's all we care about, I think.
Okay, so now as me, when I run this, it'll say, oh, I have to enter my code. Okay.
Yeah, it will be the same as before, but we can now very soon publish this to NPM and have our visitors, viewers, run this thing and then see what happens.
Okay, so I done been booped, but then if I run this without my token, oh wait, it's still gonna have me run as me.
Yeah, you will need another. Basically, like do you have another test user you can sign in a private window?
Great question. Let's find out. Do I
if
have?
Not, we don't have to. Like, I think we can just ask the viewers to do it in a moment when we publish this to NPM.
I do have a test user that I can use. Let's see what's in 1Password. There's probably a throwaway user in here. Let's find out. Throwaway? Any of you throwaways? No, these all look like things that I probably don't want to log into.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, Jason.
Oh, wait, there was a throwaway right at the top. Let's use this one. Throwaway 00. Uh-oh. Nope, guess not. Don't have that code. Don't know when I turned on two-factor authentication, but I definitely didn't.
No, it's not two-factor authentication. It's sending you an email because they are like, well, you haven't logged in a while, but let's not open your email and find this now unless you want to. Okay.
Now let's just take it. We'll test in production, right? Like.
Yes, of course. This is how we roll. We are experts. We never make mistakes.
That's me. Never made a mistake in my life.
What could possibly go wrong? So let's do the following.
Okay.
So on the top of your CLI.js, we have to add what's called the shebang thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can paste it in. Do you know this by heart, or shall I just?
I think I do. Yeah, it's the hash bang, which is why it gets called a shebang, and then we do bin node, right?
I just got it. Hold on. Boom.
Oh, I was close. Almost there.
So because we want to kind of publish this as a binary now, right? Mm-hmm. So in your package JSON now, can you open package JSON? You can define the bin key.
Sorry, say that one more time. What's a bin key?
Open your package JSON file. I don't see it right now. I don't know if I should see it.
A bin key.
Like, below description and main, like bin for binary.
Right.
You kind of define a binary.
I heard it as like binky. What is a bin key?
So this is how a package can define binaries that you can execute. This is basically what we get when you run npx, which we want to do in a moment. Yeah. So boop JSON's knows, that's fine. Let's change the version from 100 to 100-alpha.1. So we don't populate this, because ideally I want to use this later.
Okay.
Okay. And I think if we didn't forget anything, that is it. Let's
Right?
do npm publish, because why not?
Okay. This is one of my favorite things about npm package management is we just wrote a couple things in here, and now we're just gonna like goodbye. It wants a one-time password, which I think is on my phone. Let me find that real quick, because you don't want to give away that security. Where the hell is my npm? I think it might be in my 1Password. One moment, please, everyone. Let me get it off screen.
Sorry, I should have warned you about this.
No worries at all. This is, if this is the hardest part of the story, I'm in pretty good mood here. Okay, so we just published Boop Jason's Nose.
Okay,
so
I'm trying to already run it and see.
And so if y'all want to try this, like you can, if we open a new tab here, you can go to your, let's just do like a downloads, and I'll make a new directory called test, and we'll move into test and npm init. And
you don't need to do any of.
Boop.
You don't need to do any of this.
Oh, you're just using the npx, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to do this right now. Yeah, I think let me post it. So, yep, folks, just try npx boop-jasons-nose. And I'm doing the same thing, and let's boop some noses.
There it is.
And hope that it works.
Beauty. Okay, so let's see if it works off my machine.
Incorrect password. What is going on here?
Okay, so I'm me, so I done been booped. Let's see if this is going well for everybody else. Let's see. So I should be at like 5 now.
Huh. It tells me not found for some reason, and I don't know. Okay, can you...
Did I typo something in here? Let's see.
Let's go back to the code.
Owner, repo.
I don't know if others get it.
I don't see any issues open, which leads me to believe that it didn't do what we want. Got a 404. Boop incoming. Oh, you can do it. Come on, little compooper. Not quite yet. Okay, so what did we get wrong here? We did something.
Oh man, that's disappointing. I was hoping this would just work.
So probably
Repo.
do we need to give it access? Oh, it needs issues access to do to create an issue.
I don't think so. I think there is no dedicated scope for that.
Are you sure? Okay, let me check. Because I could have sworn that to create issues on somebody's behalf, you needed to give a issues. Where is it? It's somewhere in here.
Yeah. So Jason, the other Jason Netko, shout out to Jason Netko. He's doing a lot of cool stuff in GitHub world and Octokid world, and he works at GitHub. He suggested we log out the error properly, and I think that's what I would do next too.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. So the error that we're getting, oh, somebody just hacked it, invalid character error.
So the invalid error, this is now the B2A O2B. So Faten, could you please not use node 16? This is something I'm working on, and it's already fixed, but actually Github Actions outage prevents me from publishing my fix because I'm automating too much. And that's the downside of it. So,
so
let's use node 14, please, and you shouldn't get the error.
So does that mean then I need to also capture the error here from Octokit?
No, it will throw an error. So you could do is, like for the simplest thing would just be at line 69, add catch, and then console log.
Okay, let's do it. Got the catch. Oh, dot catch.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Dot catch.
I mean, this is now basically using you can directly pass in console log as a callback, as a shortcut, but that's okay.
Oh, nice. So I've definitely not done that before. Okay, so this will give us our actual error, hopefully.
Yeah, but you know, let's try one thing. Let's try to run this code directly. So we don't need to publish it and test it and publish it and test it.
Okay.
So let's try to, I don't know, maybe just throw an error on line 45 to get into the catch one. We have to do it above line 45 because otherwise it will boop your nose.
Oh,
well,
that's
okay,
true.
that's probably not a problem, but
so we'll
throw a new error with just a string.
And that needs to be a 401, right? Wait, can I fake it like that?
No, you would need to do like const error equals new error with a string message. And then set the error.status to 401 equals 401. And then throw error.
Throw error. It's all very
Okay, so
exciting. I
now
never do
it
stuff like
should.
this. So that should actually do what we want. It'll give us, and then we'll hit our data issue. All right, so let's just give this a try. Or
I don't know what's going on there. Issues.
Okay, so I've got this. Going over to login device. Wish I could just keep that. Nope.
Well, yeah, we could probably also go back to just use your token for debugging purpose, but
Nah, it's okay. I'll just. Okay, so that's doing its thing. Authenticated, issue created. So it just works when you're me. And then we get an issue. Do I need to do like? Will npm publish handle the chmod stuff? Like, do I need to make it executable or anything?
No, and we also wouldn't get that error. So hold on, let me just double check. HTTP error not found. Hold on 1 minute. Let me just debug this really quick on my side directly in the code from npx. If that works, I don't know. No, it doesn't.
Let's see. So we can. I mean, we can publish this and see what happens. I can also.
You know what?
What's up?
Hold on. Maybe it gives for some reason it gives a 404 when you use in a try block.
Like this gives a 404 because you don't have access?
Yeah. So you know what? Let's remove this whole check, yeah, and then publish it again and remove the error above. And if that doesn't work, I would suggest we move on, and everyone believes me that this should just work.
So this is another thing about alpha releases is you can just increment this .2 here. And now, Here we go, npm publish. Ta-da! And then I got to get over here, grab this. Ta-da! Okay, so Alpha 2 is up and running, and we can npx boop Jason's nose.
There is sometimes a short delay, but yeah, now it's available, yeah.
Okay. Hey, thank you for the sub, Mena. I also saw Ben D. Meyer subbed earlier. Forgot to say something. Thank you both very much for the subs. I very much appreciate it. Okay, so it still works for me as me. Let's see if we get some issues here.
Okay.
And remember, if y'all want to try this, you can do that right now with npx boop Jason's
issue created. Okay.
Hey, look at that go. All right, everybody get it in there. Get those boops in. I'm Why am I frozen again? Why?
Too much booping.
Yep, over booped.
Aha! Behold,
all right,
my bucket.
I'm gonna have to restart everything when this is over. Figure out what's going on. But let's see. So Fadden still got a 404.
I don't know why Fadden
maybe it might have been cached. I know that npm caches sometimes. But here we go. Look, here's some issues. This is great. This makes me really happy. All right. So from here, we want to make this more automated. I don't want to have to review issues and run this command. So how do we go even a step further?
So most definitely not. That's like the whole automation thing. So I just went on githubstatus.com and it sort of shows us that GitHub Actions are down.
They're still down? Let's see.
Yeah. So what I can promise your viewers is I will make a follow-up to this and I will show you the kind of actions part. But right now we have to skip it because even when they say it's recovering, I kept trying and all my actions right now are not working.
Okay.
And I really wanted to show how it works. I would just like to move on maybe to GitHub apps. And the advantage of it is we can also show some Netlify deployment magic there, which...
Yeah, let's make it happen.
All right. So now what we want to do is whenever an issue is created, we want to receive a request from GitHub notifying us, and then we want to run some of our Octokit code and in between somehow get magically the right authentication, right?
Right.
So, and what we will start out doing is, hold on, I have to adapt a little bit. Okay. You know what, let's jump right in and go to GitHub Apps.
GitHub Apps, okay. Heading over to here? Here.
GitHub settings, developer settings.
Okay.
And you see GitHub Apps and Oauth Apps. And Oauth Apps is kind of the old school way, and it's only authentication. It's nothing else. And GitHub Apps are different because they are their own actors. The GitHub Apps can act as themselves. A GitHub app itself can create a comment and can do stuff. An Oauth app cannot do this. Plus, a GitHub application has a much granular permission system. It cannot just access globally. You don't get this pop-up and ask you to grant access to all the organization. Instead, you have explicitly installed it, which is really nice. Okay, I took some notes just to make sure. We need, where are you right now?
I'm just on the register new app page.
Yes.
So I've given it a name, description, and a homepage URL. I haven't set any of the other settings.
Let's call it Jason's nose booper better, just to make it more explicit.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go down. That is fine. This is for authentication. We don't need to worry about this right now.
Okay.
Post installation, we don't need to worry about this as well. So this is now where we want to go, right? Webhooks. The thing is, for development locally, you want to receive requests from GitHub on your local machine, and that is not easy. However,
I have a way.
Oh, you have a way?
Yeah.
Well, let's use your way.
Okay. So if I set up a Netlify function, so if I go here and I do Netlify functions, we'll do handle issue.js, and I'm going to export .handler, and that'll be an async function that gets the event. Then what I can do here is let's console log the event, and then we'll for now just return a status code of 200 and a body of OK. But then I can here run netlify dev live. And this runs my function server. Oh, but I don't have my site ID set up. So let's see. Let's echo node modules into a git ignore. Look at that again. Good. Now I'm going to add everything. Good. I'm going to GitHub repo create using the GitHub CLI, and we're going to call this one learn with Jason. Boop, Jason's nose. Public. Yes. Okay, then from here I can netlify init, and we don't need it to really do anything. We just want to create the new site so that Netlify knows what to call it. I'm gonna put it on my own, and we will call this Jason's nose. We don't need a build command. We can deploy the current directory. It's going to do the functions. Okay, so all that set. And now if I run...
I guess your viewers they all know the Netlify dance pretty good, so you don't need any explanation.
I definitely do a lot of that. And if you're not familiar with this, like I'm definitely taking... I went very fast through this, but check this out. If I go through here and I go to .netlify functions handle issue, I'm going to get that okay status. And so this is running off my local machine, but Netlify sets up a tunnel so that you don't have to deal with that on your own.
That is so cool.
Y'all can try that on your own if you want to see that work. But this will let us do some testing. So I'm going to drop this in.
Yep.
And we don't need a secret because we'll probably do that at some point.
No, actually, let's set a secret, but just set it to development, because Octokid enforces a secret because it's a best practice. So we say, what, if you want to use the cool things, then be responsible. Okay, and now it's permissions. You see, there are no scopes here. It's permissions, and it's more granular. And what we need is read and write access to issues. Mm-hmm. And hold on one second. We need single write access. There is like a single, I think further down. You don't need contents access because you only need access to one file. And there is a single file thing where we need write access.
Single file, read write.
And then you need to configure the path, which is readme.md. Oh, you can configure multiple paths now. That is new. Very cool. Finally. Yay. Okay. And now the next part is, this is kind of permissions, what the app can do. It can receive webhooks, but we also need to tell it which events do I want to be informed about. So when you go further down, this is organization permissions. We are not worried about these. User permissions, we are not worried about these. All the way down, now you can subscribe to events. And it suggests you some events you can subscribe to based on the permissions your app has. And we just need the issues one. And then, yes, create it, and only create it on your own account. So that basically means only you can install it, not everyone else. And just as a security measurement, because I don't know what we will build here.
That makes sense.
Okay. So you need to generate the, hold on one second. So locally, when you create a .env file, the Netlify picks it up automatically, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then let's create a .env file and copy the app ID from this screen here first, maybe the 1192. This is not sensitive. So you can create a .env file.
And is it just like
app_id equals, yeah. And then do also webhooks secrets.
Okay. And am I going to need it?
And then private key equals, and then this is something you shouldn't show, but it's 12,000 characters. I don't know how fast people can copy it.
So when I generate this private key,
it will download a file.
You hackers, you dirty hackers.
So there is a trick here, because you have to open the .pmv file it just downloaded in your code editor.
Okay.
And it has line breaks. And what you have to do is to replace the line breaks with \n, and then so that you have a single line, and then you can set private key to this value.
Okay, so.
Oh, I can actually see your file.
Yeah.
That goes, maybe put in double quotes around it just to be sure. I hope this will work.
Okay, so what I'm going to do then is, because this is like a big long thing, this is what it looks like. It's an RSA private key. It's very, very long. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but that's kind of what you're looking at. And you can see here, each of these is a line break that got replaced.
Exactly.
So with that, I'm going to add a line break at the end, save this, close it, and we are done with secret keys. And so what I will have to do though is stop and restart this to pick up the new thing, which means I am going to have to update the webhook URL. So, but you can see here that it picked up those keys, and now those are there. I'm going to be able to copy paste this part and head back to our GitHub app setup, which is where webhook secret. So I need to edit this somehow.
There it was, webhook URL. Yeah.
Oops. Just that part. Okay, so I'm going to save the changes.
So you get a new URL every time you restart, or?
Yeah, it's we won't have to restart that often, but when you change environment variables, you do.
Okay. If we keep restarting, there's another way I wanted to show you to do it.
But so now what I think will happen, well, we have to install this, don't we?
You have to install the application. And installing an application, like this is kind of tricky with the wording because it is really just a means of authorization now. So by installing, you basically say, okay, you can access, but only this single repository, like the J. Langsdorff repository. So even if you have permission to edit the README or create issues, you will only be able to do this on this repository. So if I as another user would install your app on a single repository, that's where you could do these things and nowhere else. Okay, so that is great.
So now if I create an issue, I should see a notification, right?
You already should see a notification. There are some other webhooks that GitHub always sends out.
There it is.
And they're pretty big. So basically it tells you your app was installed.
Created an installation. Here's the details. And so now it's, if somebody wants to run that npx boop Jason's nose, we should see another notification show up.
Yeah, well, okay, shall I create an issue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, issue created. There it is.
Issue created, and here it is. So now, a bunch of them came in. So looking here, we've got, here's the body, and we can see like the labels URL, comments URL.
Yeah, these webhooks are pretty big.
Right, but look, I mean, what's great about this is it shows, here's the title of the issue, here's the person who sent it. So this is pretty great. Like I'm pretty fond of this whole general setup. Like it's pretty convenient to be able to do that. And so from here, then we have the issue. So I assume we can just say, I have an issue. I would like to update the boop count. Hold
on. Can I just paste some code now and we walk through it?
Yeah, let's do that because we do have like 7 minutes left.
There's so much more I wanted to show you folks. So much more. Okay. So.
Oh, we got a lot in here. Okay, so yeah, let me pin to where you are, and you can kind of walk us through.
Okay. So first of all, I kind of wanted to create a plugin out of the code that we already did, like a custom Octokid plugin called Boop Jason's Nose. But we didn't create that yet.
Right.
So we might just need to copy the code that we have right now to directly boop you, or we just create this plugin in a moment. So we use, from the Octokid package, we use a new export called app. And this is now the app SDK specific to GitHub apps, and it does a lot of things. We pass in the credentials here that you recognize, which is app ID and the private key and the webhook secret. And then you have an API, which is app.webhooks on. And this is really cool because just like the other stuff, it has a lot of, I don't know if I type it, no, you will have to trigger.
Do it, but so check run completed.
So you see there's a ton of things there, right?
And we can see here that we're using issues.opened, which is what I would have expected.
Exactly. Oops, sorry. And then within this callback, you get an Octokit instance and the payload. And for the payload and for Octokit, again, you get all the IntelliSense now. And the cool thing is Octokit is now automatically authenticated for you as the GitHub app. There's a whole lot of stuff that needs to happen because what it does is it receives the webhook, and the webhook includes installation information. And using the installation ID and its app ID and private key, it requests an authentication token so it can act as the app in the scope of your installation. And it does all that for you, so you don't need to worry about it.
And so what we're doing here is we're registering a handler for issues.opened, and then here we verify. And when you say receive, when it is received, quote unquote, it triggers any handlers for the given events.
Exactly. So this is the handler that you had before. And this way you can kind of also separate the logic to receive it from the logic where you act on the events that you care about, because you could kind of put the whole app webhooks code in another file.
Yeah.
And you could make it work easily with a serverless deployment or a traditional server deployment.
Yeah.
Most of the code would be the same, only the way you receive and act on the webhooks would be different. So that is quite nice, I think.
So now that we've got this, we need to bring over this code here. So basically our whole run function, if we copy paste it, I can bring in here. And oh wait, I put that in the wrong place. Let's put it above.
It doesn't matter. And let's just pass in an Octokit instance there. Okay. Octokit, and let's remove the user request, because this would fail. Like if the installation tries to access this, it will fail and tells you I am not a user.
Okay, so we get the README. We don't want to do this part anymore. So really we just want this part. We
just want the creator update now, because it will work. It should work, right? It shouldn't fail.
Okay, so we can get rid of these pieces. Let's simplify this as much as we can here. Acha. Okay, so then we've got this boop Jason's nose, and instead we would
await, exactly. Which really is exactly how the Octokit code for the plugin would look like too, actually. It's not harder than what you just did, but you know.
Yeah, no, that's
nice.
That's perfect. So then what we need to do is we need to bring over these other pieces that we are importing.
No. Why? You already get an instance, right?
We already have that instance, but I don't have the plugin, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. You are right. That's true. The My Octokit thing, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
you are good, Jason. Exactly. So we need to add this plugin, and then on line 17.
Don't need that anymore. Line 6. Yeah, here.
This is basically where we tell you don't use the default Octokit constructor. Instead, use my custom one, which can have a custom user agent and other custom default settings and custom plugins as well. So in theory, this should just work. So let's hope.
Okay, so this has been successfully reloaded. So if you want to run this one more time, what we should see happen is it should run the thing.
Create an issue?
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous, Jason.
Okay, so an issue. Bump boop counter is undefined. So where did we?
Oh, the function. We didn't copy the boop.
Oh, that's right. We forgot that function. Okay. That's okay. We can fix that. That's a problem we can fix quickly. Let's grab. Where is bump boop counter? Bump boop counter. Where is it? No.
It's in CLI.js. No.
There, all the way at the bottom, hidden from view. Okay, so we'll take this one and we'll drop that. All right, one more time, everybody. One more issue. This one's gonna work. Show me potato salad.
Okay, let's go.
Huh? Ha ha! Look at it go! All right, it did the thing. Let's go. Let's go look at this. We've got our one more. How many boops we got? We've got 7. Somebody boop us. Somebody boop us.
Yeah.
Another one. Another one.
Okay, I created an issue. Let's reload.
Chaos. I love it. I am so into this. This is so much fun, y'all. Okay. So we've only got 5 minutes left, so we don't have time to add any more features. But from here, if somebody wants to go and do more, what would you? Where should they go next? What should their next step be?
I would say go to this issue again that I created for today's show.
Yes, here.
Behold, my bucket.
So go subscribe to this issue, because I want to basically pick it up and fill in the gaps. So what we did today is, when you look at part 1, we did most of it. We didn't create our own plugin, but that's it. And we skipped over part 2, which is all Github Actions. Wow, was I optimistic how much we could cover. And part 3, we didn't do the Oauth app. So I wanted to do the actual Oauth flow as well. So where basically users can use your Oauth app or GitHub app to authenticate as themselves. And then a new issue would be created not as the app, but as themselves, because this is a use case you oftentimes have as well, right? Just to show that, and it's really slick APIs as well. So, I wanted to show it off, and I will do that then myself. And then the last thing is kind of how to use Octokit in the browser. Like, how can you do like a login with GitHub button, which is what you would use this Oauth flow for. And how you basically load the same Octokit packages directly in your browser. Like, all the Octokit packages in the usage have instructions on how to use or install or import better all these packages directly into your browser. From Skypack, shout out to Skypack, who have like a CDN and do a lot of magic to make that possible. So they kind of make these ES modules available, and they just work in the browser, at least the ones that are meant to be used in the browser.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just adding the gitignore env to the gitignore so that we don't.
Oh, good one.
Oh wait, did that not work? Where are you at on my gitignore? I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have to do this at the end. Oh, Netlify, they don't put. This is a bug. We don't put a line return after we insert Netlify to our ignored folders, which is the bane of my existence. I need to. It's like a 2-second fix that I haven't done for months. Okay, I'm out of time to do that, so I'm not going to deploy this right now. The webhook will be deployed. What I have to do is get it up to Netlify, which will just take pushing, and then I have to go update the settings on the app wherever that is. Once those are updated, then the issues will start triggering again. With that, Gregor, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Everyone, make sure you go and follow Gregor on Twitter, and you will get infinite insights into amazing things around Octokit and so many other things. We also, as always, have had live captioning going all day. We've had Diane with us. Thank you so much for being here. That's through White Coat Captioning. White Coat Captioning is here because of the generous support of our sponsors, Netlify, Fauna, Auth0, and Hasura, all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people. Make sure you go and check them out and say thanks for providing a little more accessibility to this show. While you're checking out the site, make sure you go and look at the schedule. The schedule has a lot of good stuff coming up, including some stuff that I forgot to talk about. But later this week, we're going to learn Kotlin JS, which is going to be really funny because I don't know Kotlin at all. I'm also not very good at typed languages, and I have to use an entirely new IDE. Find out more on Thursday. It's going to be chaos, but go join the Google Calendar to make sure that you get updated from that. With that, thank you all so much for hanging out for episode number 200 of Learn with Jason. Here's to at least 2 or 3 more, right? We're going to go find somebody to raid. Gregor, thank you so much for hanging out. Chat, as always, I really appreciate you hanging out with us. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, everyone.